The city of Santa Fe is well known for taking positions on issues of national or international significance. Same-sex marriage most recently, the living wage, that minimum wage you heard about most effectively. Now it's gun control. In June, the city is set to consider a measure to limit the size of magazines for guns to 10 rounds. Now here's the question, is passing a measure like that going to have an impact or just another show of the council's will? I'm going to put that to you first, Ms. Whitney Waite. Interesting how this is all shaping up, because we've got an editorial out there in Santa Fe saying it's a crazy idea. But let's just take the merits of the bill on its own first. What's your first thought?
Yeah. Well, the bill in and of itself, they're trying to limit, like you said, 10 rounds per gun, and they're going after the magazines. Basically, they're trying to limit guns through the ammunition. That's probably the best way to couch it. But I think what you said is most notable is that even the Santa Fe New Mexican, which is not a conservative newspaper at all, has laid out a very good list of reasons why this ordinance should not pass. I mean, it's a huge problem for law enforcement. I mean, if you've got different ordinances within different cities and towns, it's hugely problematic. It's not constitutional. I think I saw that Gino Zamora was supporting it, which I think that the city of Santa Fe continues to really push the bounds on how many different laws they can attempt to pass that are so out of whack with what the rest of the American people are really looking for and trying to do. So it's a bad ordinance.
Mauricio DeMarco, let's obviously the context of this is we've had some tragedies in our country with shootings, and most notably with children, Newtown and other places. This is a reaction you're seeing around the country in lots of different places. The Santa Fe Council would not be the only ones proposing something like this. But first, a western state like ours, your initial gut reaction, does it have a prayer because of that?
I mean, the real problem with it is that, Santa Fe doesn't exist on an island. And so you end up with practical enforcement concerns. And that was kind of what the Santa Fe New Mexican was laying out. Are police officers supposed to ask you for your receipts about when you bought the magazine? Because you were, when the law takes effect, it will only affect people who are now buying those magazines, but if they had them previously, it's okay. Retired police officers are allowed to have the larger magazines. So, how do you implement this measure? And I think that's kind of the underlying theme of gun control efforts around the country is when something has been legal for so long, how do you then start restricting it? And I'm not necessarily saying that I personally have an opinion on that matter, but rather trying to cast the debate as that's what it is. We're talking about ideas versus practical implementation of those ideas.
Dan, the grandfathering in is always a huge problem with anything. I have a friend that used to say, it's the great-grandfather. It's not the grandfather. It's the stuff that went back even further. And how, like Mauricio just mentioned, how you unwind this to make some sense of it.
You can't. I mean, and I think that's why Article 2, Section 6 of our state constitution is very clear. Marissa hit on it. These cities aren't on an island. You can't pass a law in Roswell that's different when it comes to carrying guns than it is in Alabama. I mean, we have to drive throughout the state.
May I read that out loud, by the way? I'm glad you mentioned Article 2, Section 6. Quote, no municipality or county shall regulate in any way any incident of the right to keep and bear arms. That's it. Period.
An incident.
At an incident. That's an important.
An incident.
That's right.
The right to keep.
An incident. Right. And I think that's where this is problematic. I believe, just like remember Santa Fe tried to start. I think it was impeachment deals on President Bush one year. Remember they went after President Bush with the city ordinance. I mean, there's just things like this. I mean,
there may have been one in Albuquerque.
Santa Fe does some things that I think they try to get out there. That's why they're called the city different. I think it's someone that's obviously wondering if this is going to help them get elected mayor. I'm sure that played into this. I think clearly this does not reach constitutional muster. The city attorney said at first it does. Now Gino, who's a good friend of mine and I think a very good man,
you have a lot of friends.
Is, I have to because I have a lot of enemies. I said that he was against it before he became for it. So I just think that there's nobody out there that's going to say, okay, you can't regulate whether or not you can have guns, but you can regulate the ammunition and the magazines that go with them, county by county by county.
Sure. Laura, what do you think of the constitutionality of this all?
I think the constitution.
Any wiggle room at all for Santa Fe on this?
No.
Okay.
I think this is a situation where if this passes the way it's written, it's going to be very easy to take to court, and they probably will lose. So they need to factor in the litigation costs of defending this particular ordinance as it's proposed. Because I mean, this nuance of separating out the ammunition from the actual weapon, we're starting to parse things in a way that I don't believe as an attorney was intended. I mean, it's pretty clear, no municipality or county shall regulate in any way, comma, in any way, an incident of the right to keep and bear arms. This is an incident of a right to keep and bear arms. The ammunition has something to do with it. Now, there may be a policy reason, and I think that obviously the intention here is a reaction to what's happened, so there may be a policy reason there, but this is not something that a municipality should be doing. This is an issue for statewide debate, potentially, and a change
Or
in
is
the
it a
constitutional
national
amendment.
debate? Because this has come up in Congress as
Right.
well, and the administration has talked about this as well, this limiting of the size of magazines. At any level, does this have any chance at all for that separating the ammunition from the gun?
I think the discussion is something that probably will continue. There will probably be efforts to do this at the federal level. But as it's written for the state constitution, I just don't see it being able to pass constitutional.
Would you agree with that, Marisa, as well?
I mean, and I think the real problem is that when you're dealing with on a city level or just on a state level, is that it's really easy to order things on the internet. It's really easy to drive to another city and buy something. So that's really, at what level do we need gun control reform? That seems to be kind of the question we're asking when Santa Fe, the city, is attempting to pass a measure like this.
Sure, absolutely.